The Bear Essentials podcast gives older bears a place to gather for real talk regarding topics and issues that they can relate to. Here at The Bear Essentials, we aren't just having conversations. We are looking to provide actionable intelligence through real-life experience and expertise of our guests. Our mission is to build a strong community that elevates and motivates people to go beyond their limiting beliefs by helping them realize that getting older is not an excuse to hibernate on their goals, but a reason to work harder.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, Charles Wallace. Today's guest is a best-selling author. His series, one of my all-time favorites, The Vatican Knights, has sold over 1 million copies to date. So please, let's jump into my interview with the very talented Rick Jones. But first, a word from our sponsor. Wolfinger Consulting, experts who have achieved real results for their clients, including complying efficiently and successfully with overwhelming discovery orders, passing difficult third-party security audits, and deploying bleeding-edge technology platforms to control and preserve corporate information. Let them show you what Wolfinger Consulting can do for you. Be sure to check out their webpage at wolfingerforensics.com. Hey, Rick, how you doing today? Thanks so much for joining me on the show. I really appreciate it.
Hey, thanks, Charles. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for calling on me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, so Rick, I'm a huge fan, but I don't know how much of my audience are aware of you. Hopefully by the end of this interview, if they're not, they will be. Let's start out with you giving a brief introduction of yourself.
Well, born in Boston quite a while ago. I became an author. It took about 32 years to finally achieve the means, okay? But the line that I'm known for, even though I get more than 40 books out there, is the Vatican Knights. You know, what that's about, it's about an elite commando force by the Vatican who is sent out, or who are sent out to protect the sovereignty of the state, of the Vatican, the welfare of its citizens, and the Vatican interests. And it deals basically with terrorism, acts of terrorism, or anything else of that nature. And what that has come to do over a period, I just released my 30th book, and to be honest, I'm not sure if any more is coming after that. This could be my swan, the last one, which was the Harry Conspiracy. But they've taken off over the last 10 years that I've been writing the Vatican Knight series. And, it's a big audience for that. Not so much for the other books, but the Vatican Knights have really stand out. It's my marquee series, really. And it's doing well across Germany and Switzerland and Austria and all that area over there is really taken off much more so now than the United States. I mean, we've been here for a while, but now they're just beginning to discover me out there. And I appreciate all my readers out there as well. As a matter of fact, I would like to go to Germany and do a book signing. Now, I'm going to try to work on that for a little bit. And then, I don't know if you know this, but the series is also in development to be a TV series. And I don't know if you knew that or not, and so once I get to Germany, I want to leapfrog over to London. I want to meet with my producer, which is Ileen Maisel. And I don't know if you heard of her, but you definitely heard of her movies, which is The Golden Compass, Dangerous Liaisons, which was nominated for 7 Academy Awards, won 3 of them, and Star Chamber. I don't know if people know that much about the Star Chamber, but it's one of my favorite flicks with Michael Douglas and Hal Holbrook. But that's been ongoing now for about 6 years, and it's still in development. And that's why I wanted to. I would love to go out there and see her again because pre-pandemic I used to see her all the time. So that's where we stand right now with the series. I'm not sure if there's another one coming out unless I come up with an idea. Working mainly on the TV series and see what's going on there. So, but there's a lot of cogs and wheels to make this going. I didn't know there's so much involved in trying to create a movie or create a TV series, but it's like, it takes a lot of things to happen. But that's where we are.
Well, I knew that you had it in the works. I've known that for a bit, and obviously, being the fan that I am of the books, I can't even tell you how excited I would be for the TV series, a movie, whatever you come up with. I could not wait to see how this could play out on the small or big screen. That would be fantastic. So Rick, we talked a little bit about, you mentioned, the Vatican Knights. What I like to ask though, it's such an interesting concept. Could you tell us a little bit about the inspiration behind the book series, and what motivated you to write about what I'll call it's a really unique blend of religion and adventure?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, I've been asked this question before, and most notably by Ileen Maisel. She asked me the same thing, and I got to give you an honest answer. I really don't remember how I came up with the idea. So it must have been about several books that I just, like Frankenstein, taking my story to the lab and keep working and working and working it until it came to this point. And the first one didn't make it all that well, but the second one really took off. And because the second one took off, the first one took off. But honestly, Charles, I got to honestly say, the inspiration, I really can't remember where it came from. I must have been influenced by external sources, and it just hit me, and I just went to the table with it, and not realizing what I was going to create from this. And that's the only answer I could really give. I really don't know where the inspiration came from. It is a unique, Commanders of the Vatican. It's a unique storyline, and I wish I could give you a more concrete answer. I just can't on that one. It really is. I mean, and that's the same answer I gave Ileen, because she was the first one to ask me that, and I said, I got to be honest, I don't know where it came from. And I'll tell you how I started writing my books. I'll be sitting watching TV, and the title will come it'll hit me. And the title, I'll write it down, and then for some reason, I build a story around the title. And that's how I get my ideas. I mean, it's kind of weird. I don't think of them. They just hit me, strike me, these ideas. I mean, it's not like I'm thinking about anything. I'm not. So that's how things happen. It's more like a bolt out of the blue, these ideas that just hit me. So that's the best answer I could get you. It's kind of weird, but that's the way it is.
No, hey, fair enough, Rick. I'm glad you, I'd rather it be, an honest answer. Hey, it is what it is, right? So I guess though too, like Rick, what I've always been impressed with, I feel like there has to be so much work involved, because you really you seamlessly combine elements of history, religion, and action. Like what kind of research do you undertake to ensure that the stories are well grounded and as accurate as they can be?
I surf the internet a lot. A lot of it's research. Writing is, I only write maybe 2 or 3 hours a day. Research, maybe another 2 or 3 hours. It goes back, if you read the first few books, it gives you, it just really, builds the church in the inner workings, and that it's a political institution, like, a religious one as well, but it's also a political institution too. They really do have an intelligence force, intelligence community in there as well. People don't really realize that, but they do. I think it was created in the 1500s, I believe. Anyways, it goes back, and I even put that in my books and everything like that. But but I do the research, I make some notes, but I don't do an outline. The reason why I don't do a lot, I used to do that in the first few books, but to me, it was a waste of time. I'd be writing 23 pages for no reason, because when I get to a certain point, I'll say, hey, something, I think if I take this direction over here, it will be better. And once you start branching off and going this way, the outline still goes this way. And before you know it, everything going this way has got nothing to do with what's right here.
Hmm.
So after about the second, third book, I learned my lesson. I said, no more outlines. So I'll sit down and I just let the story take me. And once I get all my information, once I get all my data and everything, I'll refer to it, and then I just go with the story. And it really doesn't take long from that point on. I'll say it takes, sometimes 2.5 months to complete a book. And then, I send it out for editing, but I just let the story take me. No outlines, because like I say, you go this way, and then you go this way, then this way, and that's the way I want to go. Really, I just don't want to be linear, straight up, where you can guess what's going to happen.
And hearing you say that, and as I think about the books, it kind of makes a lot of sense to me. And I think that's probably why, at least for me personally, I enjoy the book so much. Like I always feel like I know what's going to happen, and then all of a sudden it's not what I thought was going to happen, which is always a good thing. And I enjoy that part of it a lot.
Yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, like I said, that's the reason why I don't do outlines, because I like to go zigzag, and for that reason you just said, if you go linear, you're going to guess what's going to happen. That, for me, is that going to be an enjoyable read for some? Maybe, but as long as you keep going zigzag and people can't see and dodge and everything, to me, that makes a better read, especially with a thriller. You want to be on the edge of your seat. You want to write it in such a way that you want people to keep reading. If you could sit down and read a book in one sitting, that's great. Then you've done your job as a writer. I can't do that. I can't read a book in one sitting. I wish I could, but I can't. But some people say they can't do that, and they do that with the Vatican Knights, and those are the ones I appreciate because it tells me I'm doing my job as a writer. But yeah, you can't be linear when you write a thriller. And, you got to go back and forth. Like you just said, you go one way, I take it one way, then you go in another.
So we talked a little bit about the story, and I understand that you don't go linear with the story, right? But yeah. I think one of the things, and obviously we'll jump in and I'll mention it now, but when we think about a character that to me is extremely complex, like Kimball Hayden, yes. What type of character development goes into that? And is there any real life inspiration to him?
Me, a little bit. Not to the degree he is. I mean, I wasn't an assassin for the CIA. Like he was. But yeah, I think every main character may be an inspiration, a little bit of the author. I think he puts himself in there, so it gives him a little insight as to what's going on, but not to that magnitude he's at, nowhere near that. But I truly believe that every author, whatever author you read, the main character is going to put a piece of himself in that to give him the insight to see his world. Now, he's a very complex character. He is one of the most, I try to duplicate him in other storylines, but I just never could do it because he's seeking salvation with the light. And sometimes every time he takes a step forward, he'll do something because he's wired in such a way that he'll do something that he ends up taking 2 steps back from the light. So he doesn't think he's going, because he breaks the rules all the time to achieve the means. But by him doing so, is it a wrong thing? Is he mandated by rules to seek the light, or does he just follow the rules and let things go on into darkness? Or, he's a man confused. He's a man internally conflicted. He's always at war with himself between the light and the dark. And I think that's where the complex, and I get into his mind as much as I can every time he does something. He's always at the bar, and he'll have the shot glasses, and there's always 7, and he'll drink 6 of them, but he won't drink the last one because, he's drinking his sorrows away, but that last one represents hope. He's still something in there. It's still not completely, the glass is still something in the glass. It's not empty, half full. It's mostly empty, but there's still something in there for him to, and he'll always leave that glass empty. I don't think he's ever went down the whole line of shots or anything like that until the later books when he finally so consumed by alcohol because he's, so much grief that he can't, but the inspiration, I gotta say, it's really just a little bit of me and a little bit of other people I see. And I think every author has to put himself inside the main character. Just give a visualization of what's really going on, because characterization, I think, is the most important thing. I think if you create a good character and if you really engage the audience, I think you're going to have a winning line of books. Now, Kimball Hayden is the most conflicted character, and I get a ton of emails on Kimball Hayden. I mean, it's like they believe he's real, and that's another good thing. Shari Cohen, I get a lot of emails on. And I got a third one too, which I was surprised was Ezekiel. Now, I don't know if you remember Ezekiel in the first few books, but if I'd known he was going to be such a popular character, I wouldn't have killed him off. And I even tried to go back and said, there's no way I could bring this guy back. But so, and go back to Ileen, she thought it was such a great character that would probably, if it does go to a streaming or HBO, we're probably going to keep those three alive. Okay, we're going to keep those three alive. Ezekiel is going to be like the Moriarty to Kimball Hayden, Sherlock Holmes type thing, something like that. But getting back to Kimball Hayden, yeah, he's the most complex character, and I cannot duplicate him even though I've tried, no matter how much pressure I put on the other characters. But just not there. Kimball's just very, very unique. And as I said before, it's because I think it's a piece of me, and I think it's a piece of a lot of other people. But I believe every author does that. My opinion, anyway.
Yeah, well, he's definitely one of my favorite characters in a book. Like I said, I've been hooked since I know when I found your books, I think there was already a couple out, which for me, I was happy because I didn't have to wait. Now when I just finished the last one you had out, I said, damn, what am I going to do? I need the next one. Right. But, you brought up Ezekiel. I did want to ask you that, it's the Vatican Knights, and I know it's mainly centered around Kimball Hayden, but since Ezekiel, has there ever really been any thoughts by you to start to develop I feel like in later books, Isaiah's become a little more developed. Has that really been something you've done on purpose to really try to, develop another character?
Yeah, Isaiah is one of my favorite characters. He's always been his sidekick, his loyal companion, and he's like the yin to the yang. Now, Isaiah follows everything, the way he's supposed to, mandated by church. Kimball doesn't. They're like completely bipolar opposites, but yet they create a balance between the two of them. And so that is Isaiah's purpose, is to help create a balance, between, to reflect what a Vatican Knight should absolutely be like. And Kimball's the Vatican Knight that you shouldn't be like, but they need him because he is the darkness who serves the light, and the light needs him to get things done. But yeah, Isaiah, and I've started working on Jeremiah because I killed off Leviticus early, and that was just to shock people. It was a shock value. They also killed off Bonacero. That was shock value eventually. But what I'm trying to do, that was kind of like I took all that from kind of like Game of Thrones, where they were killing off main characters every week, and you watch it just to see who they're going to kill off this week, and then we put in new characters and try to build them up and just make it more interesting just by adding characters, taking out, placing them. But Isaiah, no, he serves a purpose. He's just a balance. Like I say, Kimball is like the fulcrum on a seesaw that goes back and forth between sinner and saint, or saint and sinner. But we're always going to have the constant in Isaiah. We're always going to have that constant in Kimball. But yet they're like brothers. I mean, they're completely opposites that attract each other like magnets.
And that's what I wanted to ask next. I was thinking about this as I was with the latest book. Have you ever had any thoughts to, as you're developing the Vatican Knights, you have always the opposite of Kimball, they're always doing the right things. I was always thinking it might be interesting to potentially have that Vatican Knight who becomes even darker than Kimball. And it kind of starts to set a balance that maybe Kimball sees, somebody even darker than he is. And he has to try to rein that in. Has there ever been any thought to actually having that type of character alongside Kimball?
No, but something, that's a good idea. That's really a good idea because, after 30 books, I've kind of tapped off ideas. That would be a great storyline.
Yeah,
because something I never even considered.
Well, you kind of, I thought you were going there, and I don't want to give too much away in the latest book that you have a Vatican Knight. I won't even try because I'll forget the name, but he starts to say things and you make sure you let it know that he's bluffing. And I was starting to think, is Rick going to finally take me there? And this is going to be
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah. Then that's when I start to think, wow, that would be really interesting to me if we had the Vatican Knight who is even darker than Kimball. And maybe that's the only way Kimball finds salvation. That's
a great idea, Charles. That's really a wonderful idea. No, you're talking about Joe. I know you're talking about Joe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a really wonderful idea. It truly is.
Well, I hope it happens. I would love to. Not just because we talked about it. I would love to see. I would be fascinated by Kimball and how he handles that.
Yeah.
Because let's be honest, right? Kimball serving the light, but he isn't the example, right? And it would be interesting. But I feel like you have so many options with him and that character. And Rick, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you doing this today.
I'm glad you called.
Yeah, I really enjoy the books a lot. And
yeah, I mean, when the people see the Vatican Knights, they think it's a religious line. Yeah, it is, but not really, if you think about it, because it's really riddled with a lot of violence and descriptive violence, and it's just the world we live in today. That's the way I see it. I'm sorry, but that's it. It's just like this world is filled with violence, and you're not gonna find correction just by going up and shaking the enemy's hand, because that's not going to happen. But yeah. So the Vatican Knights is really it's a religious theme, Catholic theme, or Christian theme, I should say, not Catholic theme, but Christian theme. But it's really military violence. It's really, but everything serves a purpose. Everything has a goal. Everything has a reason. So, yeah, I mean, I've really turned out glad the way the series turned out, and the audience it's grabbed. For me, I mean, obviously any writer's going to grab an audience that's going to be pleased, because it tells me I'm doing my job as a writer.
Yeah, you really are, Rick. You're doing a great job with it. And, I want to make sure as people listen to this today too, that when Rick's right, it's there is the violence in there, but I got to be honest, there's so much historical intrigue that goes into it that you're not just looking at it as an action adventure. Like, you're getting that whole mystery component of it all, and it's so well done on all levels. And I hope that people, when they see this, not that Rick needs me promoting his books, because he's doing a fine job on his own, but if for anybody listening that hasn't, please pick up the Vatican Knights and start to give it a whirl. You won't be disappointed. So Rick,
thank you.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say thank you for the pitch. I appreciate it.
Oh no, you've given me so much joy with the books. Listen, even at 50 years old, 51 years old, it is, and I'm not saying this because you're on the podcast. It's my favorite book series, and it
Oh,
is
thank you.
absolutely my favorite book series. So I can't wait. Do you have any more information that you could share as far as,
Well, I released the Harry Conspiracy a couple of weeks ago, a week ago, something like that. It's on Amazon, but you have to go into books, and then after you go into books, you got to go into Kindle books, and once you go into Kindle books, then you got to find it by putting the title in. I guess that's the only way to find it now. This particular book, the rest of them you can find on Amazon or any other e-platform or e-venue, whatever you want to call it. But they're doing well worldwide. And as I said, Germany, Austria, Switzerland, Liechtenstein, Luxembourg, they've all picked it up. They've all discovered it. I got a release from them August 4th, I think, from Germany, and it's already hit the bestseller list, Amazon bestseller list, #1, 3 times already. And it actually was on it for the last 3 days. Not so today, but I'm assuming when it's released on the 4th of August, if it follows like the others, it'll be up there again. But as I said before, I want to go to Germany if possible, do a book signing there, then fly over to London, speak with Ileen Maisel, and find out what's going on with the TV series and development, and just keep plugging away. I do like your idea about the a Dr. Vatican Knight. That really is. Ezekiel was it at that time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, I didn't know he was going to be so popular. I would never have killed him off if that was the case, but I never thought of it since then until you just brought it up. So do I go that way, Charles, or not?
I'll be rooting for it, because listen, I think it would be fantastic read. Whatever way you go though, I can't wait to see how it all ends.
Okay. Yeah. So, yeah, if I do decide to go away, I'll give you obviously a plug in saying, I'd be more than happy to do something like that. So, but anyways, thank you for giving me a call on this. I really appreciate it.
No, this was fun, Rick. Listen, I said to you before we started, I love having guests on the podcast who, obviously I'm trying to help, motivate and inspire people with the podcast. That's the goal. Along the way though, selfishly, I really enjoy speaking to people that I'm fans of and people who have given me joy and things like that. So you're definitely on that list. And when Rick emailed me back and said he would do the show, I just parked the car and I looked at my phone and I was like, holy hell, I'm going to have Rick Jones on the show. So Rick, you really made my day with that. I'm so happy that I was able to get you on. So thank you very much.
Hey, thank you, Charles. And if you need me, you know how to reach me on what I gave you, not in the other one, because I won't get it probably. But all right, well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you got it. And everybody, check out the Vatican Knights. Please, it's a series you will not regret. Trust me. And if you do check it out, let me know how you like it. I would love to hear from y'all. So again, thanks everybody for tuning in. Greatly appreciate it. And Rick, thank you again. Take care, everyone. Bye.
This has been the Bare Essentials. Thanks for listening. And remember, never hibernate on your goals.